Yes, Sir Hairless here. Today we are back with another VoicePlay Patreon request. Thank you for this one. This is Whiskey in the Jar. It's a traditional Irish song about a highwayman who robs a high-up official, military or government. We don't really get highwaymen these days, at least not in my experience. So as you might expect, the song is centuries old and the lyrics are a bit of a giveaway. There are a lot of them, so pause and have a read. There are various versions of this song out there. I won't use any single one as the original. Instead, we'll just focus on VoicePlay in this one. Here are some clips from the other versions though. The Dubliners.
As I was going over the far-famed Kerry Mountains,
Thin Lizzy.
I took all of its money, and it was a pretty penny.
And maybe the most famous one, Metallica.
first produced my pistol, then produced my rapier.
So this could or should maybe be an interesting one. As for the lineup, today's guest is Omar Cardona, whom we've seen before on the channel. If you want to see our previous VoicePlay videos, the playlist is up here. So without further ado, let's get straight into it.
As I was going over the Cork and Kerry mountains, I saw Captain Farrell and his money he was counting. I first produced my pistol, I then produced my rapier. I said, stand and deliver. Whoa, the devil he made and take you.
I took all of his money, and it was a pretty penny. I took all of his money, yeah, and brought it home to Molly. She said she swore that she loved me. No, never would she leave me. But the devil take that woman, yeah, for you know she tricked me easy. Ring dama do dama da. Whack for my daddy, oh. Whack for my daddy, oh. There's whiskey in the jar, oh.
Okay, there comes Ellie and the beat. We've not really had much of a beat so far. We're 1 minute and 42 seconds in, just under halfway. I think this is around 4 minutes long, so we'll do a pause here, go over some analysis. If you don't want to hear my timestamp, if you don't want to hear my timestamp, if you don't want to hear my thoughts, go to the timestamp. Yeah, this is... I honestly just had no idea what to expect. As I showed you in the introduction, different versions. They're probably just several out of however many there are out there. This song has been around for hundreds of years after all, but apparently just really popularized in the 1960s. VoicePlay seemed to be taking a calmer approach, and naturally, at least from the calmer ones I've seen, this then lends to richer harmonies. There were a few chords in there for sure, where I'll probably just be figuring them out on the piano and showing you because they were funky. And with the reduced beat, at least at the start, it means we have Lane singing, another voice, richer harmonies, and he had one of the nice parts actually in one of the chords. I have had the subtitles on, that was on purpose. Hopefully you've been reading along as well. I find it quite funny when they're singing these archaic words and lexicons, but in such a modern way, especially with Omar's vocalizations, whoa, 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 that we got just before we paused.
Daddy-o, whack for my daddy-o.
Whack for my daddy-o. And of course this.
Ring dama do dama da. Whack for my dad.
The harmony there is simple. There are no funky notes. So to keep things interesting, now we move to the rhythms. We get Jeff coming in first.
Ring dama do dama da. Whack for
Then the harmonies do get a tiny bit funky. Apologies, I cannot speak today. I started out with speaking, then I moved on to music, and I think I'm now forgetting how to speak. In 2 or 3 years' time, hopefully this channel is still verbal. I guess we'll find out. But yeah, it's nice to see the chromaticisms in there in harmony. And another reason why this part stands out on top of the standard to non-standard harmony, the lyrics, of course, but again, it's the rhythms, because the song mostly, it's quite lully, swingy, it's not rigid, it's not regimented. So then when we suddenly get one bit, chum, cha, 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 and if we think of the beats, if there are 4 beats in a bar in common time, 1, 2, 3, 4, it's 1, 2, cha, 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 1, boom, ba, da, 1, cha, 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 cha. Well, to go back to the beginning, we get the shocking opening. Well, not shocking because it's voice play, but maybe we weren't expecting that from Jeff, completely by himself, very low.
As I was going over the Cork and Kerry mountains,
He moves up the octave, then we then get the harmony accompaniment.
I first produced my pistol.
A standard chord. Let's see how long it takes for us to get our first juicy chord.
I then produced my rapier. I said, stay
There we go. 2 in a row immediately.
there. I said, stay
3 in a row, actually. Ooh. This is another one of those arrangements where the first time you listen to it, you might think, oh, it's nice, it's very simple. In my opinion, this will be more difficult to sing than some of the more seemingly complicated ones because of the harmony. Let's quickly figure out the chord that we end on, for example.
there. I said, stay
We have the main part going, and then around it, which hints at either, but to me, it's actually more of a G minor, which would have quite high conviction if we had the G down here in the bass. But no, what are the other notes that we get? Jeff's melody starts here and goes. And then the 2 chords I said I would have expected it to be, well, we actually get both of those defining notes. We have this and in there, all at the same time.
stand and deliver. Whoa, the devil.
So a little bit harmonically ambiguous, not too much, just enough oomph to make you go, oof, nice chord.
He made and take you.
And we had this major resolution on, talking about the devil he may take you.
Devil, he made and
Nice open standard major chord there.
take you.
And the same idea, but with Jeff's bass being the main source of movement. Not too much harmonic movement. And as I say that, it's as though voice play. No, I'm going to say it, because what's next? There was a little chromatic tease that didn't actually result in too much chromaticism. Whoa. Very subtle, but definitely there.
I took all of his money.
And that chord, strange. Yeah, really interesting. Calculated choice. I believe this is Jeff's arrangement, so very interesting chord there. Omar gets the next verse. Jeff now has moved back to his traditional bass role, and that really allows for the kind of swing type feel to come in. Not swing by definition, but there's a bit more bounce and momentum, direction to it, and we get the clicks as well. So some percussion, but not full on lane percussion mode just yet.
I took all of his money, and it was a pretty penny. I took all of his money, yeah, and brought it home to.
Again, overall standard harmonies. When we don't get the standard harmony, voice play, make sure we know by just emphasizing it as much as possible.
I took all of it.
Classic juicy chord there. This is the crux of it. And then the juicy note, if we bring them all up together.
I took all of his money, yeah, and brought it home to Molly. She said she swore that she loved me.
And overall, I'm not sure if you'll be feeling the same, but for me, this one is definitely about the storytelling. Not that their other arrangements aren't, but we don't have choreography. We don't have crazy special effects like we've often seen. They're not heavily caked in makeup. They're sat down, so they're even limited in regard to where they can move. Therefore, the focus is naturally on the music, and the music in itself is quite limited for reasons we've already spoken about. So the focus is kind of funneling down, and arriving ultimately at the lyrics, the story that's being told. Caesar is very good at this, I think.
But the devil take that woman, yeah, for you know she tricked me easy. Whack for my daddy, oh.
When I'm trying to go to sleep tonight, I'm going to have this song in my head, and it's going to be very strange lyrics going on in my head. Musha rain dama do dama da, whack for my daddy-o. I just never know what's coming on a VoicePlay day. All right, let's carry on from where we paused. We had the percussion with Omar and Lane, and Jeff did a classic drop down.
Some men like the fishing, and some men like the fowling. Some men like to hear, whoa, to hear the cannonball roar.
Me, I like sleeping, especially in my Molly's chamber. But here I am in prison. Here I am with a ball and chain. Yeah, my show rain, dama do dama da. Rain, dama do dama da. Whack for my daddy, oh. Whack for my daddy, oh. There's whiskey in the jar, oh. Hey, hey, whiskey. Whiskey in the jar, oh. Whiskey.
Yeah, that was a really interesting one, actually. Very well. I was really intrigued before going into it, and I think my intrigue was certainly satisfied. It was a nice arrangement, and the nature of it, its structure, its progression, kept me wondering: are we going to have something massive, or are we not? Or are we going to drop out, or are things going to kind of plateau or just stay quite constant? We got a bit of everything in there. The lyrics as well, I'm pretty sure they are quite different to the ones that I posted in the introduction that I found on Google when looking for these lyrics. So even though I had looked at the lyrics beforehand, this was almost a bit like a new experience because they were changed. Same story overall. Well, let's go through that second half, and as usual, I'll just pick out the things that I found a bit more interesting. From where we carried on, quite soon after that, we are essentially told things are going to be growing. We're going to be seeing new ideas.
Taking my money with me.
Just there in the harmony, the part that's singing in harmony coming in slightly afterwards, then joining up, moving up in pitch. We had a lot of Ellie and Omar there. It was really the Ellie and Omar show, to be honest, for a lot of that. A lot of opportunity for them to show off their incredibly high chest voice ranges. The first real Ellie moment, I'd say, is here.
Never knew the danger.
So what do the accompanying parts do? Well, the higher parts drop out, the lower parts remain, singing homophonically, different lyrics. And we kind of get a fusion of the funny part, I'm going to call it the rain dabba doo dabba da bit, and the lyrics of the verse. And that's something we see later on more than once. By just having this idea in there, this fusion, it really allows for some structural flexibility. It's not as straightforward as just verse, funny bit, verse, funny bit. And for anyone familiar with VoicePlay, we know how much they love their rhythmic manipulation. I call them the masters of rhythm. So for me anyway, watching this, now I'm thinking, oh, okay, they could really do anything when it comes to structure. We've got Omar again. Not going to lie, I can't envisage Omar as anything other than, well, how he was in the Dragonborn Comes. Let me find a little clip of that in case you missed it. And my reaction, I found that one really good. You can find in the card up here. I think he suited this character really well. His hair here is definitely different. Anyway, he's now taking the higher melodies along with Ellie. Again, we have harmony on these melodies. We're getting a bit of that rock Ellie voice coming through. And as well, like VoicePlay so often do, it's this kind of like a call and response between the melody and the accompanying parts. Where the accompanying parts take one or two words from the main melody, repeat them, and then join back in homophonically. I jumped up, fired my pistols, shot him with both barrels. That's quite a shocking lyric.
And I shot him with both barrels.
That's a nice bit. Everything comes out. Jeff drops down. Omar goes up. We have the beat remaining, which sounded a bit like a heartbeat to me. I imagine that was the intention there.
Shot him with both barrels.
And then straight back in with everything just being alive. Ellie is absolutely loving the Yemasha rain dumma doo dumma das. I feel like Ellie is enjoying the lyric whack for my daddy-o a bit too much. And again, just as if he's heard me say that, he now sings it unenthused, but then the next line.
Daddy-o, there's whiskey in the jar.
Yeah, fair play, fair play. I feel quite bad because I don't like whiskey. I've tried and I cannot enjoy it. When I was younger, I imagined my older self at an age I'm about to hit, actually. How depressing. In a pinstripe suit, drinking whiskey on the rocks out of a nice crystal glass. Instead, I'm here with my hot chocolates every day. If you'd like to donate me a hot chocolate or two, you can do so at the Buy Me a Coffee linked below. They keep me very warm, very happy. We get more freedom then, vocalizations without lyrics. That all culminates.
Something like the fish.
Jeff takes over, and then we get that layered entry that we so often see. Dum, bum, bum, bum. I was expecting more after hearing it once. I was thinking it would be a repeating trope. No, that was it.
And something like the fountain.
A little bit there, but extremely subtle, barely noticeable. And again, as if VoicePlay can hear my ponderings, what do they do next? Well, the complete opposite, plus some.
Some men like to hear.
The rhythmic manipulation there, slightly changing the rhythms.
Oh, to hear the cannonball roar.
And it was homophonic, and now it's a chord, just one chord.
I like sleeping.
Yeah, I too like sleeping. So this is another one of those arrangements where you hear it for the first time and you might think there's not too much going on. It's a nice, calm one. But really, it's one where every single phrase I could stop and talk about what's different or why I'm finding it interesting. So it's one that's interesting to me for other reasons than maybe being shocking or for all the visuals or some absolute madnesses, as I would call them, in the arrangement. Things that are stylistically very constant and consistent in this one, but there's still so much differentiation on perhaps more of a micro level than a macro level. I don't think Ellie enjoyed the fact that I said he sang Whack for My Daddy-O unenthused, so he comes back and does this. That's high. That is high. If I'm to sing that in head voice, and he's doing it in that rock blended voice of his, but it's not just Ellie, because Omar is the same.
Whiskey in the jar.
Or was that Ellie? You know, actually, they work so well together. They have a similar type of voice, incredible range, and yeah, very well suited for this song, those two with their parts. And finally, the ending section. I did like this. Nice, consistent, definitely more than just the 5 parts there, but it serves its purpose quite well. It's almost like a fade out like we would see in a lot of older music before ultimately finishing on a nice standard chord. With Jeff all the way at the bottom on the root. Incredibly low, that's a bottom F, almost an octave below your typical choral bass would be expected to sing. Whiskey in the Jar, I didn't know that song. The other versions I showed clips of in the introduction each had over 1 million views, but the Metallica one had over 100 million views. So I do wonder how famous this song is, and if it's just the Metallica version that's extra famous. Either way, really interesting. VoicePlay's version here, a clear style to it, perhaps a bit calmer, but a lot of differentiation, changes, keeping things interesting within the arrangement itself. Yeah, a nice one. Let's leave that one there. Thank you, as always, for watching. Would appreciate a like and subscribe. If you'd like to join the community, get access to exclusive perks, you can do so by joining the Patreon linked on the screen now, and I will see you next time.